you're a dragon. And also, probably, if you're watching this, you're a bit of a people pleaser. But the fact remains that you have this innate dragon energy within you that is just waiting to be tapped into, waiting to be embraced, waiting to be activated. And if you are able to acknowledge it, to channel it, you can kiss your people-pleasing tendencies goodbye once and for all. So we're gonna dive into that, what dragon energy is, what people-pleasing is, what the correlation between the two is, and what you can actually do to break free from that people-pleasing once and for all. But first, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Hannah, and I empower you to empower yourself. And today I'm going to be doing that by helping you to connect with that innate dragon energy within you, helping you bring that to the surface so that you're able to embrace that powerful authenticity of who you really are, and you're able to stop giving your power away to others. And not just giving it away to others, but giving it away to those who would misuse that power, those who would abuse that power. So if you're ready to say goodbye to the people-pleasing tendencies once and for all, this is the video for you, my friend. So first off, people-pleasing. Let's talk about it. So I knew when I was sitting to kind of create this video, I wanted to do a video on dragon energy, but just talking about dragon energy alone felt kind of empty for some reason. And then all of a sudden, like a ton of bricks, it hit me. You gotta connect the dragon energy to people-pleasing, because people-pleasing is such a big topic right now. At least in my community, it is a big topic. If you're the type of person watching my content or content like mine, it is likely a big topic in your life now as well. So it's this just collective energy. I've noticed in particular the past couple of years, this has come very prominently to the surface, embracing the villain era, right? As they say, and releasing that people-pleasing once and for all. This, friends, has been a collective shadow that those of us on this spiritual awakening path have been wrestling with for many, many years, many, many decades, many, many lifetimes. And it's been keeping us small. It's been keeping us out of our power. But likely, also, if you're watching this video, you realize that's not going to stand anymore. You realize that it's not serving you and you're ready to let it go, but it's become so familiar. You're maybe like, how do I even begin? This is such a innate part of who I am now. It's so intertwined with my identity, with my being. How even do I get rid of the people pleasing? So if that is you, I'm so happy you found this video. The answer is simpler than you may expect, and we're going to dive into that today. Know that the energies are so supportive for this right now, and that you are not alone. Like, I cannot tell you, friends, I cannot tell you how many clients, how many friends, and just how prominent in my own personal life this people-pleasing rehab is right now. This is like the biggest theme, and that's why it just came through so prominently that this is what needed to be talked about today. And perhaps if this topic resonates, I will do even more videos about this to help you kind of shed the layers, like a dragon, like a snake, shedding the layers of the old skin, shedding the layers of people-pleasing once and for all. So all this is to say that there is power in numbers. And because you're not alone in this, because so many of us are going through this exact process right now, you are supported in releasing this. It is time to release this. If you've been second guessing yourself, know that it is time. And the astrology lately, the ascension energies, it's all about purging collective shadows right now. So my recent videos, like I've been addressing a lot of collective shadows that I was resistant to talking about. And now today, again, surprise, another collective shadow, people pleasing, which also tends to be very interlinked, very intertwined with those of us who identify as dragon souls. But before we get into how exactly the two are linked, let's define what I mean by your dragon and dragon energy, shall we? Just in case you are new to the channel here, or even if you are not, it's always good to rehash, and I never know what's going to come through when I talk about this. Always there's some new perspective, something new that comes through. So when I say that you are a dragon, I mean that quite literally. But I'm not saying that you, like human you, is a dragon. I'm saying that you do have a dragon form as a multidimensional being. And you can tap into that energy as your human avatar. You are literally an avatar in a video game right now. That's the way I see it. You are an avatar in a video game. Right now, in this incarnation, likely you are a human. You chose this human meat suit, this human avatar. However, over in another video game, over in another save file even of this video game, you have an avatar that is a dragon. This video simply could not have found you otherwise. And that energy is there for you to reclaim now. It has been such a collective shadow. Dragons, dragon energy, everything that they symbolize has been such a collective shadow that we have literally kind of wiped them from existence, right? It's like they're only thought of as fantasy beings now. They're thought of as fantastical creatures. They're literally, like, we've been taught that they don't even exist because it's that much of a shadow. The collective wants to suppress dragon energy that much that they're like, it doesn't even exist. And as I always say, that is absolute bullshit, because if they didn't exist, then why did so many different cultures and societies all throughout the decades that were not interacting with each other have the same idea, the same concept of the dragon? Why is it still to this very day such a prominent figure, such a prominent symbol in so many cultures, in so many societies? Why does this archetype resonate with us so much? If it's just fake, if it's just fantastical, then why are dragons so cool to us? Why are they in all of our fiction everywhere? You can't really escape them because they are real, my friend. They are real. And as I always say, they're higher frequency beings, so they no longer play in this 3D bullshit, the world that we live in. They vibrate so high that they cannot be perceived right now in these lower density frequencies. So that's why you can't see them as you would, let's say, a lizard or a snake or something, some actual 3D animal, because those beings, they vibrate at a lower frequency just like you or I. But dragons, they vibrate high and they don't go down to that lower density. Usually, there are some exceptions, but usually these days they don't go down to that lower frequency. So dragon energy, what is it? I would say at its core, at its heart, dragon energy nowadays is the energy of the sacred rebel. It is wild, untamed energy. And it is very intimately linked with divine feminine energy in particular. The dragon can be thought of as a symbol for divine feminine energy. And I talk about that up in this video here, which I will link for you if you're curious to see it. So just as we have erased dragons from culture, we have also erased feminine energy. That's essentially what the patriarchy is, as far as I'm concerned. It's like the erasure. It's the suppression of feminine energy, which we all have. Whether you identify as a woman or a man, we all have this feminine energy within us. And society has just kind of suppressed that up until now. It's erased it, and we're very imbalanced. And so with the return of dragon energy comes the return of this powerful, sovereign, divine feminine energy that is healthy and balanced. So dragon energy, just like feminine energy, it is chaos. It is chaos, and it is like spiritual. It is spiritual soup, spiritual high frequency energy. Again, that's why dragons, they don't typically lower their frequency and go down to the physical. The physical is more of a masculine space. They stay up in the spiritual, in cosmic soup land, as I like to put it. So when I describe feminine and masculine energy, I always say that feminine energy is like this cosmic soup that just floats. It's this life force energy. However, if there was no like masculine container, it would just float off into outer space forever. There would be no form to it, no shape to it. So it needs that masculine energy to be the container, to be the structure around it, to give it actual shape. You can't have one without the other. Likewise, if you were to have masculine energy without the feminine, it's like there's this bowl, but there's nothing in it. There's no nourishment in it. There's no life force energy. It's just hollow. It's just empty. It's dead. And that's kind of like what you can see happening on the earth right now, because we've been in such this masculine polarity without the feminine. It's like we drained the earth essentially of her resources, right? It's like there's no balance, there's no harmony, there's no life force energy. I hope that makes sense. As always, let me know if you're following along with this, if this makes sense, if this resonates. So dragon energy is also fire. It is also alchemy. So fire and alchemy, basically they're one and the same. Fire is the property that can change one thing into something completely different. You see this one with the destructive qualities of fire, but also you see this with cooking, right? We use fire, we use heat to cook, and it takes food that you couldn't otherwise eat and have that in a healthy way, and it allows us to eat it. So it is this alchemical property that allows us to shift the vibration of something from a lower density to a higher density. And so dragon energy is also just in its essence alchemy. And that's why dragons in mythology, in fantasy, they always have their dragon's fire, right? And with that dragon's fire, they're able to alchemize. And in fantasy, that's portrayed as like so destructive typically, right? And it's demonized, but really this is such a beautiful quality. It can allow you to take any heaviness in your life. Let's say you're dealing with depression and just heavy, intangible energies you can't really put your finger on. You can use your dragon energy. You can use your own dragon's fire to alchemize that. You can change it to a higher frequency. So I think that's enough on dragon energy for now. If you're curious on more, just let me know. Always happy to talk about it. I could make so many videos on dragon energy. But how does dragon energy connect with the people pleaser archetype? So just like with feminine energy, there's a correlation here. So dragons, as we've talked about, they've been vilified. And the people pleaser, basically what creates the people pleaser is that if you were in, let's say, just the light of who you are, you were in your dragon energy, shall we say. The dragon energy, it's shameless sovereignty. That's what it is. It's shameless sovereignty. It is authenticity. It's like someone that really knows their power and their worth. You came into this world incarnated in that energy where you were just this pure being of light, this innocent little child that knew your worth. You knew you were worthy. And likely what happened if you grew up to be a people pleaser is that other people, they shut that self-worth that you had down. They made you feel small for it. So this just came up in a session I was leading in my private community, the House of the Spirit Dragon. We were working with the darkness dragons and working with our shadows. And I was talking about like how I realized like I became a people pleaser because when I was young, when I was very, very young, like very, very young, only maybe a few years old, I was very much in this sovereign dragon energy where I knew what I wanted, I knew who I was, I knew what I was worth, and I would communicate that. But basically what happened is everyone around me, they were in a very wounded energy, and they sort of just put me down for that. And they would just tell me over and over, oh, you're being so selfish. Oh, you're so spoiled. They would call me, I still remember, they would call me a princess, but not like in a nice way. It was like in a derogatory way, like, oh, don't be such a princess. And basically they just put me down for having like a strong sense of self and knowing what I wanted and knowing my worth. And so after enough of that, I was just like, okay, I don't get to be worthy. I don't get to be in my dragon energy anymore. This causes the people around me pain. It makes them feel threatened, just like a dragon does, right? If you know your worth, if you're in your dragon energy, you're gonna make a lot of people who are in their wounded energy feel threatened. So what happens is we are such pure beings. We're like, oh, I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want people to feel threatened around me. So I'm going to shut that down, and I'm going to start to cater to their needs and look around and adapt to them. And this is a shadow quality, or it can be. It doesn't always have to be, but it can be a shadow quality also of dragon energy. Dragons are shapeshifters. Dragons can take any form that they wish, really. Again, high frequency beings, because they vibrate so high, they can take any form. They can adapt to different dimensions, different realms, different forms. And so we, in our human avatars, if we have this dragon energy very prominently within, we will start to take on that shadow shapeshifter energy. And we basically will become whatever the people in our environment need us to become. And this was a survival strategy to help us make it through childhood, shall we say, intact. Now, likely if you're watching this video, you've reached a point where you don't need to do that anymore, however. But most of us, what we do is we just subconsciously, it becomes the norm, it becomes comfortable, so we perpetuate that. And we start people pleasing. We're always wondering what other people want, putting other people up here, putting ourselves down here. And that is such a disservice to yourself. And actually, that is a way to be out of your dragon energy. So I want you to think about it for a sec. Would a dragon really put someone, in particular, someone that's like in a wounded energy, up on a pedestal and be like, oh, please tell me what you want, good sir, good lady. I am your humble servant. I will do whatever you ask. Would a dragon do that? I don't think so. I don't think so, right? And maybe this is something that fantasy has gotten correct. Regardless of if dragons in fantasy, like medieval fantasy, they're vilified, or regardless if you're in like the Asian culture, which I love, their portrayal of dragons where they worship them, no dragon ever is going to be like kissing ass to someone, okay? So you're out of your dragon energy. When you're in your people pleaser energy, you're out of your dragon energy. And that's exactly what we don't need any more of. So that said, how do you break this people pleasing persona? How do you embrace your dragon energy? I would say, first suggestion that I'm going to give you before I dive into like 4 specific steps that I have for you is know that it's not about fixing the you that is a people pleaser. If you're in this mindset of like, oh, I shouldn't be a people pleaser, and you're trying to fix, you're trying to make yourself better, there's going to be some shame there. That's you're not coming at it from a healthy, pure energy there. You're not coming at it from dragon energy in that way. The way you can come at it from dragon energy is focusing on expanding and activating your dragon energy rather than diminishing your people pleaser energy. This, by the way, is also abundance mindset. This will have ripple effect on your finances, on your love life, on your health. This will allow you to step into more abundance because you're focusing on what you want rather than what you don't want, okay? If you're focusing on what you don't want, ironically, you're gonna create more of it because, as they always say, what we resist persists. So rule number 1 for this, focus on the dragon energy. Focus on stepping more into that rather than erasing the people pleaser energy, yeah? So now your 4 steps to doing just that, to activating that dragon energy. Step number 1, simply choose to. You always have a choice, Everything starts with choice. Everything starts with intention. So the first thing you need to do is choose to activate your dragon energy. It is really that simple. And that's another, I guess, device of the false matrix used to control us, used to siphon our energy. It's this belief that everything has to be hard, everything has to be complicated and complex. It can't just be simple. It can't be too easy, right? But it can be, actually, and that's the truth of the higher dimensions. Everything is quite simple, actually. You just have to have the faith to follow through with that simplicity. And so here it's choosing to be in your dragon energy. And when you notice that you're not in your dragon energy, choose to be in it again and again and again. Keep making that choice, and before you realize, it's going to become your automatic state of being. And so what I would say, taking this a little further, niching it down, specifically what you can do is ask yourself in any given situation, and this might sound silly, good, the dragons like to play. That's also dragon energy, very playful, very fun, little trickster vibes. Ask yourself in any given situation, if I were a dragon, how would I act in this situation? I really want to know, like, share it in the comments, please. Like, share it in the comments which situation you're already presencing. I want you to like imagine a situation that is like something you've struggled with, a pattern you've struggled with over and over again. And then ask yourself, if you were a dragon in that situation, how would you act? How would you act? So for example, the one that's come up for me recently in my people-pleasing tendencies is that I tolerate a lot of talking down from people just saying mean things to me, people snapping at me, people yelling at me. And me in my, kumbaya, like high vibe state, I'm just like, oh, it's cool. I send you love and I hold space for that. I gotta stop now and ask myself, if I was a dragon right now, would I be tolerating this? No, I would not. What would I do? Well, I would set a boundary and I would remove myself from the situation. Maybe even I'd torch them. I'd use my dragon's fire. And again, that's not to say in a literal sense, but it's alchemical. I would use my alchemical dragon's fire to transform the situation after I removed myself from the situation. So when in doubt, ask yourself, if I were a dragon right now, how would I be reacting? And you do this in so many situations throughout your life, throughout your day, and you'll start to just naturally embody it. So just as a representation of how simple this can actually be, I would love it if you guys could wire this in the chats, in the comments, by just typing, I choose to be the dragon. Okay, let's have a little fun with this. I choose to be the dragon. This is, as I like to call it, your mantra for integration. And know that as you type this, as you speak it, you're giving it power. And the more people are typing it, the more people are speaking it, the more power it's going to have, the more easily we're all going to be able to use that to step into our dragon energy in situations when our programming wants us to be a people pleaser. So step number 2 for embracing your dragon energy is that you want to connect with your personal dragon guide or guides. Likely you have many. Basically, you can have as many as you want. There's so many dragons out there and they're so thrilled to work with humans. So there's way more dragons than humans. Trust me, there are plenty of dragons out there that want to connect with you if one is not already with you. And so if you are like, yes, I want to do this, but how? You're in luck. I have a free quiz called What Elemental Dragon Guide is Calling You. So I would recommend starting there. That's a great way to just initiate the connection. It's a free quiz, only takes a few minutes, and then you'll receive some emails from me that are like a little email course that will train you in how to start connecting with your personal dragon guide after you've identified which of the 4 basic elemental affinities it holds. So I will leave a link for that quiz in the description below. And also note that anytime you can take the quiz on my website under the freebies section on my website. So step number 3 This is you initiating your sacred rebel energy, which is the dragon energy, right? Whenever you are faced with doubts. So let's say you have to set a boundary with someone and you know it's going to hurt their feelings and you're feeling bad. You don't want to hurt them. I want you to remind yourself in these situations that the false matrix, the dark forces, the powers that be, whatever you want to call them, they want you to feel bad. They want you to feel shameful. Because guess what? It's these low vibrational feelings that fuel the false matrix and keep it alive. Literally, it's like Monsters, Inc. If you're familiar, if you have not watched it, I recommend it. It's a great analogy for how like the matrix works. Basically, it's like in Monsters, Inc., all of the technology, it runs based on fear energy. And so the monsters have to scare like children in order to generate fear energy. And I don't want to spoil it for you if you haven't seen it, but they discover an alternative at the end of the movie that I find like so 5D, so high vibrational. But basically, it's such a great symbol for how the false matrix uses low vibrational energy like fear, like anger, shame, guilt to maintain itself. And so when you are feeling guilty, when you are feeling shameful for choosing yourself, you are contributing to that. You are contributing to that, and you are not helping anyone. Even if in the short term, maybe you don't hurt that person's feelings, ultimately you're hurting yourself and you're hurting them by not setting that boundary. Because guess what? You are them. That's something we need to remember as people pleasers. We are all connected. We are all one. That other person, their feelings are not more important than your feelings. Your feelings are just as valid. Your feelings are just as important. And likely, if you're the type to be watching and resonating with this type of content, you have nothing to worry about because it's all about intention. What intention are you putting into, let's say in this case, the boundaries? So if you have the intention of just love for yourself, love for the other person, they're going to feel that, and you're going to feel that, and you're going to expand that, and you're going to start transcending the false matrix by embodying that, by having the courage to choose that. Now, if you have the intention of like, oh, I want to hurt this person, then yes, of course, that's going to bring this low vibrational icky energy to the connection, and it's going to cause pain on both ends. And that's what a lot of these, let's say, narcissistic type people are doing, is they do have these bad intentions, these like icky, nasty intentions, and so they perpetuate that. But you are not like them. You are in this state of love and purity, so you can trust that whenever your intentions are aligned with that state, the other person's going to receive that. Even if initially they're hurt, even if initially they're triggered, in the long run, it's going to benefit them. And if you doubt this, I just ask you to think back to yourself when you were inevitably in some sort of abusive situation, some narcissistic connection. That other person, likely they hurt you, but probably you were able to take this situation or many situations and make something positive out of it. Maybe it woke you up. It woke you out of the people pleaser skin, and you realized that you need to start choosing yourself. You saw how you weren't choosing yourself, and it hurt initially, but it woke you up. It broke your heart open to yourself. And so I'm going to recommend that you check out this video, They Stole Our Magic, up here, if you find this topic fascinating, because I talk about a little bit more of this dragon energy and how it has been siphoned, like it has been stolen, and others try to take that energy because they're not generating it for themselves. And basically, we are perpetuating that very cycle when we play small, when we are people pleasers and we put others on a pedestal. Finally, step number 4 is let love be your dragon's fire. Okay? So like I said, dragon energy, the energy of alchemy. So know that when you are in your dragon energy, you are in the energy of pure alchemy. And when you are radiating that alchemy, radiating that dragon's fire from the space of love, again, like I just said in the last one, you can trust that any darkness that comes at you, it's just going to be instantly transmuted to love as well. You can think of it like, if you think of like light versus darkness, let's say, like darkness doesn't have any energy of its own. The second you turn on a light in the dark room, all the darkness just disappears, right? It's the same with you and your dragon's fire alchemy, igniting that love in your heart as your dragon's fire. When you radiate that, and you work intentionally with that love, dragon's fire, darkness doesn't stand a chance. It just comes into contact with you and it's alchemized. And then you no longer even have to worry so much about protecting yourself against narcissists and, shielding yourself, because like you and your presence, your dragon energy, it becomes the shield and so much more. You become this unstoppable force of light and love in the world, this unstoppable force of change, and no one is able to take that from you again. So if this is all like really resonating with you and you feel like you'd like a little guidance in embodying this, you'd like a little mentorship, I am taking applicants for my one-to-one mentorship program right now called The Path of the Dragon Mage. And so this is for specifically dragon souls like yourself who wish to embody their dragon energy more and more. And I say embody because it's very important that we ground it. So much of my content, it's fun to just learn about and be in the mental realm, be in the spiritual realm up here, and to learn more and more and to have fun and to play. But what use is it if, you're still broke? If you're still struggling with your health, if you're in an unfulfilling job, if you're in an unfulfilling relationship, if you're dealing with narcissists all around you, if you're struggling, if you're in survival mode in the physical world in any way, which most of us are, by the way, this is also how we are kept small, then I invite you to apply for this experience, this initiation. They don't like to call it a program, the dragons. It is an initiation. It is an initiation into your own unique dragon energy. And you get attuned to all 9 dragon elementals as well as the golden dragons. And you learn how to actually take that high frequency energy from up here, ground it, anchor it, make it tangible in the real physical world. Your life will not be the same after you have gone through the path of the Dragon Mage. And any of my Path of the Dragon Mage clients can certainly tell you that. So if this is calling to you, if this is calling to your soul, you'll you'll feel that little like itch in your heart space, in your soul. You'll feel that expansive energy. And if that is you, then I invite you to apply. The worst thing that could happen is that you don't make it in this round, and maybe in a future round you'll make it in. But just apply if you're feeling the call to apply. See what happens. And if I feel like there's alignment there, then I will invite you to a free 30-minute discovery call where we can get to know each other a bit better. You can learn a bit more about the program before fully investing, fully committing to yourself and taking that leap. So I will also leave the link for that in the description below. And again, you can also just find that on my website, which is ownyourpowers.com. So all of that said, please let me know, have you been working with the dragons already to release your people-pleasing tendencies? And if so, how has activating your innate dragon energy helped you in releasing the people-pleasing? I find this topic absolutely fascinating and absolutely relevant right now, and I'm so curious to hear where you guys are at with this particular journey. So as always, my friends, much love to you on your journey. Stay powerful and know that you are not alone. You are a powerful, ancient, wise dragon soul. And there are many of us here walking this path in parallel to you. Even if you can't see it right now, you are not alone. You are so loved. You are so supported. You've got this. Keep on keeping. Until next time.